Cut!
Hi everyone, welcome to today's video. Today we finally finished our masterpiece behind us. We had to sit in front of it and film in front of it today because it's finally done. We are definitely happy with how it came out. It's definitely a lot bigger than
bigger.
We thought it would be. Like when we first started, we bought a different set of casters and they were half the size that these are. Once we realized how big this piece of furniture was. What, Biggie? Once we realized how big this was, we decided to put bigger casters on it so that it will be easier to move around, because our goal is to use it as a tool bench, workbench.
It's like a tool chest, almost like a rollable, pretty much like what you would buy at a store. Except I didn't want to spend.
It was $900.
Yeah, I didn't want to spend $900 on a rolling toolbox, which, you know. Yes, it's nice, it's awesome, but
it's metal. Yeah, it's
come
nice.
on, you know, what's the fun in that?
I have a picture of it. I'll insert it here. But yeah, so number one, that wasn't in our budget, and number two, this is gonna stay inside our house.
We have every flat surface in our house covered. With something. Like even this brand new one we just built already has flowers on it.
Well, and that was on purpose.
It will have more things on it by the time, but this chest,
the flowers are not staying.
This chest of drawers will buy us some time at least.
Well, the flowers are not staying on it. That was just for the video for you guys, because you know we had to do it, make it pretty. But yeah, so this will be a workbench, and we're gonna paint on top of it, and you know, do whatever we need to do. The only reason we painted it and we didn't leave it, you know, like you would for our garage, is because it was gonna be inside our house. I wanted it to look like it was old and it came from a barn and it's been used, and as we use the top of it, it'll get paint splatter, and you know, it'll get worn, and it will look even more like, I don't know, like an old piece. We didn't really do a detailed plans and everything that Corey did for the build because you didn't feel comfortable with that, right? So it's mainly about the painting and the whole process.
Yeah, there's no really big detailed plans. You
just had an idea, and
I had an idea in my head, and I kind of built it as I went. There was quite a few things I would have done different.
But now you know.
Now I know.
Fun fact, Corey's dad is a cabinet maker.
Was a cabinet
maker.
I mean, I guess always a cabinet maker, but
right.
he doesn't do it all that often.
He doesn't do it anymore, but
I'm not putting you on blast, Dad. I'm trying to be real here to our fans. All 6 of them.
All 6. Well, and
now
if you
4.
If you notice, okay, so if y'all want to know how we made this beauty, just keep on watching. Alright guys, you got just me now talking on the mic because my hype man is working outside. But like I said, it was just, he had an idea in his head of what he wanted to do with it. I told him I wanted different sizes drawers, especially I wanted some shallow drawers because I hate overstuffing drawers and then you can't find anything you're looking for. I feel that it defeats the purpose. So they were all different sizes. The bottom ones were deeper because inevitably you'll have things that are larger than others, and so that's what he did. I'm sure he had a lot of fun. I know he loved building this 20 drawer cabinet. It was 5 pieces of plywood per drawer times 20 plus the frame plus the bottom support. So it was quite a project. I think he did all the cuts, or most of the cuts, in a couple of days. So now he's adding a frame at the bottom for support so that the cabinet doesn't bow because it's going to be so heavy, and then we put the casters on. Those are small casters that we had originally bought, but we ended up changing them to some bigger ones once we realized how heavy this was, and then we also added an extra set in the middle. So 6 casters total, and they are quite a bit larger than this, almost twice as big as the ones you're seeing here. So now I am sanding the entire cabinet, and then I'm gonna paint it black just to see how that looks. So I was really trying to go for a very minimalist look, just raw wood, natural wood, with some black, and I was gonna put some black cup handles here so it looks a little bit apothecary. And the black actually looks really good. It's just not my style at all. And so I tested the other colors that I had in mind, and I think that's what we're gonna go with. But first I'm gonna paint it all white, and then I'm gonna add those colors and kind of distress the doors. And the top is probably gonna be white because it's gonna be a workbench, and I think when the paint drips on it, it's just gonna look cool. I don't mind if paint drips on it and whatnot, so that's what we're gonna do. Okay, so this is what it looks like. It's thinner than it usually is, but it's not watery. It's not completely watery. You don't want it to be so watered down that it doesn't cover anything.
Well, then if you add too much water to it, what happens is it breaks down too much, and it actually breaks down the paint to where it's not really paint anymore. It's colored water, and
Right.
it won't stick to anything, and it'll pull up and run. And so you just want to add a little bit at a time to where you thin it and not completely degrade it.
Okay.
Try spraying the side first to see if it's the consistency you like before you go to
I'm
the.
doing this black one, so it's easier to see.
There you go. Before you do it on the more full facing. You can probably go a little slower, man. It's easier if you hold the hose with one hand.
Okay.
That way all that tension's not on there. You might have to get on the ground, babe. What are you looking for?
Those evil, disgusting animals. I hate worms. And caterpillars are worms. I don't care what anybody says about them. Okay, so we're going to switch gears real quick. We're gonna use a roller to do the top and the bottoms and the bigger areas, because quite frankly my hand hurts from using a spray gun. I think from now on I will roll everything.
If the moon.
So this is a little plastic spatula. They're like $2 for a 3-pack. And then I'm kind of just dipping it in my paint. That's probably way too much. So we're gonna scrape some of it onto our drawer. Just like that. What are we thinking? Crazy, huh? We'll see. So I went ahead and did that to all of the drawers. First with the yellow, then I switched with a couple other colors just to add a little bit more depth, because I thought that it needed something a little bit darker to complement it. I've added a couple new colors into the mix. This is Dixie Belle Color Green, and this is Dixie Belle Palmettos, and then DIY Queen Bee. So I have all of these colors. I know you guys probably think I'm crazy, but I pretty much have every Dixie Belle color there is in Queen Bee. But actually, let me see if I can show you. So here are the drawers that I've already tried. If you can see that side, I added different colors of green. So if you think I'm kidding, it's pretty much every Dixie Belle color there is. So this one is Sandbar, because I felt, like I said, I felt that it needed some grounding. Sandbar, Color Greens, Farmhouse Green, Palmetto. This is a custom mix I made between these two, Farmhouse Green and Palmetto. It's a little bit greener, this is a little bit yellower. This is Lemonade, this one is Buttercream, and then Sea Glass. And then my yellow accent color is actually a DIY color. If you guys were doing this, maybe stick to 3 colors or 2, and you can buy the little tiny 8-ounce ones, and that should be plenty for this project.
Ignore the sun, then our tangled waves come undone.
So something good about this is that I think the paint is really expensive, and I always want to use every last drop. And Corey gets mad at me because when you work with traditional paint, you never use the cap, because the paint is sticky, it's lumpy, it has different finishes, it gives different finishes because of all the debris. So he always gets mad at me when I use the cap, the paint that is on the cap. But because this is a splotchy paint job, even if it's all sticky and lumpy and whatnot, I'm just smoothing it with the spatula, and I get to use every bit of my paint. If you notice, I only used what was on the cap for the most part. I barely touched my paint.
But if the moon falls by night, then our faithful bodies won't die.
Okay, so I've decided to sand all of this before I put the next coat on. So this is probably a bad example because this light yellow is it's a very light color, so it doesn't have as much coverage as the rest. But it's a good example to show you why I'm sanding before I apply the next coat, because you can see how harsh those edges are and you can see where I patched it on. So I don't want that to show.
They'll say, where did we go?
So these are all the colors that I used. As I mentioned earlier, those are mostly Dixie Belle paint and then DIY, and here's a list of all of the colors if you want to pause it and take a look. For my favorite part, which is sanding, we're going to use, what is this? Who knows? This feels like 150. This feels like 150. So that's what we're going with. So sanding again once I've done the final coat or the finish on it, just to let some of the other colors show through. My sanding pad fell off, you guys. I don't know why. Maybe I didn't stick it back all the way. Or maybe it's got too much dust. Why isn't my sanding pad sticking?
They'll say, where.
Well, that hasn't happened to me before. My sanding pad fell off. I assume it's because it's got so much dust in it that it just wouldn't stay. I mean, it's perfectly fine here, but it wouldn't stick to my sander. So we got a new one, and now we know that this is 150 grit or 100 grit. So it turns out Corey had never ever changed the Velcro pad on this orbital sander, so it was time to replace it. I ended up buying one from Home Depot and changed it, and we were good to go after that. After sanding all of the drawers, we moved on to spraying the sealer on it. Like I said, I don't care if it gets paint over it, but we did want to be able to wipe it. So that's Corey applying the sealer, and now I'm going to move on to adding the hardware to that. I made a template with some painter's tape, just 2 pieces of tape, sticky size facing each other, so that there's no stickiness on either side. And it is standard to do usually 2 inches from the top so that all of your handles are on the same spot. I have made some holes in the center, but I ended up going at the bottom of the tape because the tape was almost 2 inches, and so that way I didn't have to measure anything else. I used this little nail to make some hole, or to mark where the holes will be drilled, and Corey had we left our drill at our family's house because we were picking up some furniture, so I ended up using this raggedy one, but it worked. So I pre-drilled some holes. You want to make sure your drill bit it's slightly smaller than your screw so that it still has some so that your screw can still grab onto the wood as you screw it in. So easy peasy. I only had to do this 20 more times. Once the holes were pre-drilled, I went ahead and screwed them by hand with a Phillips head screwdriver.
Did we go? They'll say, where did we go?
So once all of the drawers were put in, here's what it looked like. I was very happy with it. I hope you guys like it. Alright guys, that is it. We hope you liked it. I can't imagine anybody in their reasonable mind that would need a tool chest inside their house. But if for whatever reason you do need one, I'm sure you can find some plans. We like Anna White. She has awesome plans for everything. And I also like April Wilkerson, I think is her name. I can't remember her channel name, but there's plenty of people out there that have plans, and there's free plans out online that you can find if you wanted to build something similar. We're gonna test this out, and hopefully it works out, right?
Yep.
And if not, you'll make me a new one.
Yep.
Bigger and better.
3 of them.
Bigger and better.
Oh yeah, bigger and better.
All right. We hope you enjoyed watching us. Don't forget to subscribe and follow us on Instagram and Facebook and YouTube, right?
YouTube.
Hasta la vista. Bye.
Was that you living in someone else's dreams?
I need your clothes and your motorcycle. Right now.